Hey everyone, I'll be with you in just a second. I just want to check that the frame rate is okay. Let's see if that's okay. Hi everyone, sorry I'm a little bit late. What am I? 8 minutes late. That's not too bad, is it? Let me just have a drink because I've literally only just finished setting this up. You're probably getting a little bit of an echo at the moment, so I'll just... Okay, that should be better. Thank you, Lawrence. Hi everyone. So, I'm sure you've... I'm hoping you can probably see now that the frame rate is okay and there's no buffering or anything like that. CPU, everything seems to be running fine. Um, Everybody was saying to me, "Oh, check the viruses." Somebody said that it's the Russians hacking me. I think that was me actually. Um, Somebody else said, "Oh, this, that, and the other, all technical stuff." People were sending me stuff on email trying to send me out. So thank you so much to everybody who was trying to help me out with advice as to what was the problem. Um, you may remember, those of you who caught the live stream the week before Saturday, I changed to Streamlabs to set up so I could get Streamlabs and donations sent through Streamlabs and it would appear on the screen. When I set that up, what I realized is, you might remember, that I can't, with Streamlabs, actually cycle through what these, you know, pictures and slides and that sort of thing. I can't do it. So what I did was I had to set up a folder, put all the slides in that folder, and then use this monitor here and take stuff from the monitor. But in the week, in between Sunday before last, I know this is really boring, but in between Sunday before last and last Sunday, I had moved all those files. So Streamlabs was off the chart with CPU power because it was trying to find pictures that I had moved like Tuesday last week. So that's why all the buffering, and I can see that there's no 0% drop frame rate. I also was reading at the bottom, I was reading 97%, and I thought that was good. It turns out it was 97% bad, which just shows you how stupid I am. I'm just an idiot. I really am. So I wasn't hacked by the Russians. It wasn't MI5 trying to stop me from speaking. It wasn't any of that. What actually was the problem was I'm an incompetent idiot when it comes to this sort of stuff, and I need help. But obviously help requires finance, and finance is something that I haven't got at the moment. Let me get another drink of my coffee. Hi everyone. What a day, says Simon Bartley. Yeah, it's been a day. I've had to try and dissect the hell out of this and try and, tell you what's important and what it all means, because I know a lot of people are going to be confused as hell as to what is going on. So hopefully after tonight, um, yeah, I am a Muppet, Joe. You're absolutely right. I'm a Muppet. Hopefully after tonight, you'll have some idea as to where we stand and why all this has been done. Remember, Theresa May had to have done this for a reason, and she's hanging on and hanging on. She's got alligator blood, remember. She's doing this for a reason, and I think I've figured out what it is. Stay tuned to the end to find out. You are imperfect, question mark, says Grandma Christine 42. Yeah, I am imperfect. pretty far from perfect, to be honest. Yeah, nice rounders reference. That's where I got it from, Sets. I used to be a poker player. Hanging around, hanging around. Kid's got alligator blood. Right, let's try and make sense of today because, wow, today has been tough. I can see my CPU usage goes up as soon as I open that, so hopefully this is going to be okay and you're going to be able to see what I'm looking at. Let's switch over to editor. Okay, so today has been, what can we say? So today has been, well, let's face it, today has been an absolute, it's been one of the heaviest news days I think I've ever seen in my life. There's been lots of stuff happening, so let's give it a recap. Last night we got the draft text that has been agreed with the EU between Theresa May and the EU. Dominic Raab was the one who, the guy who brought it for us. And then we found out last night certain things in the deal, and since the text has been made public, then we've found out exactly what's in it. And it's not good. It's not good at all. It basically keeps us in limbo. It keeps us in, I think purgatory would be the right word for it. I'm not sure whether I've got the definition of purgatory right there. It's sort of like nowhere, no man's land. Because, first of all, it's treating Scotland differently to Ireland. And Wales, for that instance. People have made points that Scotland and Wales were not mentioned anywhere in that 585-page agreement at all. And that's pretty unfair, really, because, let's face it, Scotland and Wales are just as much, in this as Ireland are. Scotland overwhelmingly voted to stop in the EU, rather, as did Northern Ireland. So treating Scotland differently is, well, let's say it's bad for a start. Second of all, there's obviously a lot of concessions in there because of Northern Ireland and bending to Northern Ireland, that sort of thing. Scotland are not going to like that, especially since one of the stipulations in this agreement is the EU have fishing rights in Scotland. That isn't taken, that isn't cancelled, which is obviously a big thing for that industry up there. We are in limbo, basically, with this deal, if it passes, which it won't, but if it does. And the deal basically keeps us, and it says, Jeremy Corbyn picked this up as well, in Houses of Parliament, obviously he did, 20XX, actually is in there in the document. The deal lasts until, it's temporary until 20XX, until we both agree, yeah, okay, that's it. We're fine, we've come to an agreement, and then we can have another agreement. It's, this is a temporary thing to 20XX. What it basically means is, and this is the truth as far as I can see it, what it basically means is we cannot exit that deal. If that deal is signed, we cannot exit it for the next 81 years unless the EU say, okay, you can exit it. What? That's just not right. So, not many people are going to it's not going to get much support. I said this yesterday. She's done. Stick a fork in her. We can't even leave this deal if we want to, which is just, well, it's unacceptable for the majority of people, let's face it. First thing this morning, there were resignations as a result of this. Dominic Raab, the Brexit secretary, was first. And with him resigning, I think that gave other people carte blanche to say, right, okay, I'll hand mine in as well, gave him the courage to do it as well. Had he not gone first, then maybe there wouldn't have been as many resignations. It was 7. Thanks very much, Patrick. I will keep on. I think there's 7 resignations so far. It could be even more. It really could, and there could have been even more while I was setting this up. But I think this is about as up to date as possible. So he was first, and there was just a raft. I mean, at one stage, somebody put this out: breaking, Larry the cat resigns over the EU. which I thought was, kind of funny. And then one of the people that resigned was Esther McVeigh. I made a point of this in my earlier video that was stuttering like mad, so I'm going to make it again. And I'm going to expand on it as well, because Esther McVeigh, apparently, if this is to be believed, I don't know who Pippa Carrere is. She's a journalist of some sort, I believe, so I don't know how credible she is, but as Jimmy says, she's got a blue check mark, so she must be important. She said Brexiteers will be furious about this. Mark Sidwell, is the most senior civil servant in the country. Sources suggesting McVeigh was in tears. Really? She was in tears. Cabinet sources said Esther McVeigh, this was from The Guardian, the Work and Pension Secretary, made the most impassioned interventions against the draft agreement and warned of chaos should the government lose a meaningful vote in Parliament. May twice refused a request from McVeigh to hold a vote in the room. One Cabinet source said that McVeigh was, quote, shouted down by Cabinet Secretary Sir Mark Sidwell. So she was calling for a vote and they wouldn't give it her. And I'll explain why they wouldn't give it to her. I explained why they wouldn't give it to her in a video last night, because they didn't have the support. She didn't have the support. There were 9, depending on who the source was, there was 9, 10 or as many as 11 of the 21 cabinet members that were in the room against it. And that's that's just people who were against it without it coming to a vote. Obviously, when it comes to a vote, other people might see 9 or 10 hands go up and they do it too. So it's interesting as to my theory as to why she's done that. I'll come to that. But first of all, Esther McVeigh, I want to make this point. That's what makes you cry, Esther McVeigh? That's what makes you cry, because you're frustrated because your voice isn't being heard. You're frustrated because you feel as if, you're shouting into a vacuum. That's what makes you cry. Imagine the people who are suffering right now, who are disabled and with mentally ill. Imagine how frustrated they are with their benefits cut and not being able to feed their children and having to go to a food bank and being evicted. Imagine their frustration. Now you get, and this is indicative of the ruling elite. It really is. It's indicative. There's her, probably in an Armani suit, banging the table, saying, I want my voice to be heard. What about their voices, Esther McVeigh? You don't cry over their voices, do you? And they're not doing it in a frigging Armani suit in some lovely swanky office in Westminster or number 10, are they? It really annoys me that they're so out of touch, these working classes. What about this woman from Birmingham? This was just 3 days ago. That's the state of her council flat, and they won't fix it. Look at it. Imagine her frustration. Imagine her frustration at her voice not being heard, Esther McVeigh. Birmingham City Council reportedly advised them to keep windows open, push everything 3 inches away from walls, and dry their clothes outside. We'll sort it out. Not we'll come in and we'll send workmen in and get it. No, just, hey, you know what? Just cope, will you? Just cope. You're poor. Just cope. You'll get what we give you. That's the attitude. Imagine their frustration, Esther McVeigh. You out of touch. So out of touch. It's unreal. Really makes me quite angry, that does. And then we got. There was a Tory MP, I forgot who he was now. He was on, he's from the Canary. He was on BBC Radio 5. And he said, blatantly, Theresa May has got 80% support for her, in the public, for her draft text. To be fair, I can't see who the presenter was there. To whoever you are, I apologise, but she pulled him up on it and he had to admit that he'd just pulled that statistic right out of his ass, which is, the lies had already started. Then this happened. Evolve Politics reported that a vote of no confidence in Theresa May is now imminent. The ERG, which is the European Research Group, appear to have agreed to send letters en masse. Now, I said yesterday that I thought maybe 30, possibly 40 might go in, but it would be enough to spark a vote of no confidence. And Jacob Rees-Mogg comes out and says they've agreed to vote en masse. So that's roughly 80 votes against, or possibly roughly 80 votes against this deal if it comes to a meaningful vote in December, which it doesn't look like it will anyway. This deal is obviously dead in the water. So the chance of May's getting support, let's just put it in numbers. That's if it comes to a meaningful deal in December. She's got 315 Tory MPs, 10 DUP, SNP 35, Lib Dems 12, and obviously all the Labour ones as well. She's not going to get the support of the DUP, so that takes her down to 315. And she's not going to get support of 80 ERG members. So that takes them down to 235. She needs 320, so she's going to have to get something like 85 votes from elsewhere. The SNP are not going to vote for it. The Lib Dems are not going to vote for it. They want to stop in the EU, and the SNP are rightly, in my position, standing their ground on these fishing rights and the fact that Northern Ireland is being treated basically different to Scotland. You know, thank you very much, Swami. I so appreciate it. Thank you. So, yeah, they need 85 votes from Labour. Even Kate Howie has come out and said she will not vote for that text agreement. So, that is where we stood. And then Theresa May came out with her... Lots of people were expecting her to resign. I wasn't. I was hopeful. But lots of people were expecting her to resign. By the way, this I found was funny. Chances of Brexit turning out well. None in blue. In yellow, their little pie. None, but in yellow. Space Angel 1964. Well done. That was a fucking funny clip. So she came out and did her speech, Theresa May, and basically was defiant and said, I'm going to fight on. Which people are amazed by. Now I've had a chance to think about it, I'm not, and I'll explain why. Before I get there, though, I want to give somebody credit. You know what? I believe in credit where credit's due. I'll give Donald Trump credit where it's due if it's due. It's just it doesn't happen very rarely. I'll give Theresa May credit where it's due. Just doesn't happen very rarely. In this case, I'm going to give Laura Kunsberg, the BBC editor, credit because that question, deciphering all this, that question was absolutely 100% correct and a difficult one to answer, and Theresa May just ignored it totally and moved on. She gave a basic speech. She'd probably even been given the question beforehand. She's certainly given the question at the end, the one about cricket, so she could leave on the Jeffrey boycott line. But you know what? Credit to Laura Kunsberg. She said, is it not the case that you are now in office, but you're not really in power? And that is exactly the situation as we see it at the moment. She is the Prime Minister, but she does not wield any power whatsoever. Okay. So what next? I think that is next on my list. Yeah, what next? So if the 48 letters have gone in, and it looks like almost half of the Conservative Party are voting no confidence against her here, we get a vote of no confidence. If there's a vote of no confidence and half of the Tories vote against Theresa May, then we get a leadership contest, and she said she's going to fight on in that leadership contest by the look of it in that press conference that she had. Now, if she wins if she wins that leadership contest, or that leadership challenge, then she cannot be... Thanks very much, Sets. Supporting the fight against drop frames, he says. Thanks very much, buddy. She cannot be challenged for a year if she wins that, but I don't think she's going to. If nearly half, if 80 people from the ERG have voted against, are given a letter of no confidence, then I don't think she's going to win that. That means a leadership contest. Now, whoever wins that has a short amount of time, just a short amount of time, to broker a deal with the EU. Remember, we're leaving on March the 29th, so we haven't got time. If the deal is rejected, then we've got 21 days to come up with another deal. And if it doesn't happen, then There are all sorts of possibilities that can happen. All options right now are on the table, all of them, including a referendum, which I've been saying that they've been desperate to get all along. This was the plan all along, to get a second referendum. That's why they gave us an in-out referendum without defining what out is. That's the reason I voted Remain, because I thought this is a stupid referendum. It's just going to open the door to another referendum and possibly multiple. That's why I voted Remain. If I had an option to leave and I could see that option and the implications of it, then maybe I would have voted for leave, which is the case now. But all options are on the table, including a referendum and a general election, including a referendum as a general election, which is probably more likely as to what will happen. So why has this all happened? Why has Theresa May done this? Because she's got to have done it for a reason. She's got to have done it for a reason. And you know what? The people out there who are in independent media like me, we're going to tell you what the reason is. Because there's an elephant in the room here. And it is only independent media that are going to tell you what the elephant in the room is. You're not going to get it from mainstream media. Today's speech that she gave was not important. It wasn't. Today's speech was just a continuation of the last one she made. You might remember this. This is the end of her last speech.
I have worked to bring people with me, even when that has not always seemed possible.
By the way, have you noticed that was the last time she gave a speech from that room? She gave a speech from the same room today. Today's speech was just a continuation of that speech. This is how it ended.
I have worked to bring people with me, even when that has not always seemed possible. No one wants a good deal more than me, but the EU should be clear. I will not overturn the result of the referendum, nor will I break up my country. We need serious engagement on resolving the two big problems in the negotiations, and we stand ready.
The important part there is here.
Should be clear. I will not overturn the result of the referendum, nor will I break up my country.
That's what it comes down to. I will not overturn the result of the referendum, so she won't give another referendum, and she won't break up the country. Curiously, I remember when she gave that speech, and out loud I said, I will not break up my country. I said, that is the really important bit. I said it out loud. I wish I'd have done a video about it. I really do. You have to take my word for it, because only one outlet I can find actually ran with that as the headline. Only one, and that was the Metro. It's the only one in the UK I could find. The only other article I could find that had I will not break up my country in the title was Politico in the US. They're the only two that actually ran that headline. Was it last month? I think it was September, beginning of September. They are the only two. And this is why. Because there is an elephant in the room, and it's Northern Ireland. And they do not want to talk about Northern Ireland. By the way, credit where it's due. I said this today. Credit where it's due to Theresa May. First of all, in a time when, the rhetoric is that we're in a divided country and, everybody needs to come together, she's managed to do it. She's managed to unite the country. She's just managed to unite the country in hating the deal that she's brought back, or that she's suggesting. But let's get back to the elephant in the room, because the elephant in the room is Northern Ireland. And remember, Jamal Thomas actually pointed this out. I don't know where he got it from. Great guy and podcaster from YouTuber from America. I think he's in Barcelona at the moment. I must try and get in touch with him soon. But there was a Star Trek clip where Data was talking about the reunification of Ireland. He was talking about philosophical things with regards to violence in politics in order to get your own way, when all other ways of trying to come to a deal fall down. And he mentioned there, obviously it's set in the future, he mentioned the Irish reunification of 2024. That clip was actually not aired in the UK by all intents and purposes. There was a load of information out there saying no, they actually cut that clip. I don't know whether they cut the clip or the whole episode, but that is how much of a touchy subject it is for the ruling elite in this country. But the thing is, that's what it all comes down to. This is what it all comes down to. Because remember, Ireland overwhelmingly, I think it was 67% or 64%, it was overwhelming, it really was. Ireland voted to remain in the EU. Now, the unionists in Ireland historically have held a majority. However, there are two stipulations in the Good Friday Agreement. Two. First of all, there cannot be a border. And second of all, there is a stipulation in there that at some stage when it is applicable, at some stage when it is believed that Northern Ireland would vote to leave, and feeling was that they wanted to leave the UK, then there should be an Irish referendum. This is what it says. I actually got this from, oh damn, I forgot the website. I'll put the link down there. I'm really sorry, I forgot the website. I'll put the link down there when I drop this video tomorrow, when I edit it and drop it. But this is the situation with regards to that. The UK government has the power to call a referendum in Northern Ireland. And this is entitled Who Gets to Decide Whether and When to Hold a Poll. The Good Friday Agreement states that, quote, the Secretary of State should call a referendum if at any time it appears likely for him that a majority of those voting would express a wish that Northern Ireland should cease to be part of the United Kingdom and form part of a united Ireland. In the Republic of Ireland, reunification would require a constitutional amendment. This would require legislation to be passed by both chambers of Parliament before it was put before the people in a referendum. Now, I'm assuming they're talking about the Republic of Ireland there. I don't know the difficulties at the moment with regards to Northern Ireland, because obviously they haven't got a sitting government there at the moment. It's a right chaos. So, again, that is another spanner in the works of actually moving forward with this. And it actually says in the bottom, in the event that either part of Ireland voted against reunification, another poll cannot be held within 7 years. And this is why Theresa May has done what she's done. Because she knows that in order to get a Brexit, you are going to end up with, obviously, some sort of border. And to have some sort of border, either Northern Ireland need to agree to it, or they need to vote. They need to stop in the EU. I've been saying this all along, and independent voices have been saying this all along. You just go and have 5 minutes on George Galloway's Twitter feed. He's talking about it. He's been talking about it all the time. Go and have a look at his interviews on RT, on YouTube, RT American and RT UK. This is what it all comes down to. But they don't want to talk about it in the ruling elite because they don't want to break up the union. And that's the whole thing. Now, my question therefore is, has anybody asked the people of Northern Ireland? Because I don't know whether they should. I've obviously looked at the history of Northern Ireland. I've gone back to 1921 or whatever it was that it was partitioned, and I'm no expert on it. And also, the information I get, who's to say that that's correct information that I'm getting from the internet? You just don't know. The only way to find this out, in my eyes, is to actually ask the people of Northern Ireland what they think. Has anybody done that? Has anybody suggested it? Of course not. They don't even want to put it in the press, you know? But I'm damn sure if I was sitting in Northern Ireland, I would think, hold on a minute. You know, let's say I was a unionist and I wanted to be part of the UK. And I desperately wanted to stop in the EU. Maybe I would want to reunify Ireland. You just don't know. Has anybody asked them? Has anybody asked them? This is the last graph that I could find, the last vote that I could find. Now, this is from May. This was printed, so This comes from 1998 to 2016. Now you can see there was only just a 50% favourability to remain in the UK then. There's a lots of other undecideds there. There's Irish reunification or independence. But at least put it to a vote, because surely that's up to 2016. What I can't find any information with regards to 2016 to 2018, or certainly in the last 6 months, or certainly in the last 6 days or 6 hours since this deal has come back from Theresa May, and now we know where we stand. I've said all along, as soon as she makes a decision, she's toast, and that seems to be the case right now. Now, it's only independent media that are going to be asking this question. They're going to try and avoid this question for as much as possible. They're all saying that she's going to stand defiant, and they'll come out on one side or another, and it'll be partisan hackery in the media as usual, and just same old crap between one side versus the other, trying to divide. All I am trying to do here, is just try to come to conclusions based on what I know to be true, or what is alleged to be true, and try and decipher what's true, and then make conclusions based on that. I haven't got the answer. I haven't got the answer as to what the best Brexit would be. How would I? I haven't got the answer. But the thing is, I don't think anybody else has got the answer either. And it certainly says to me that Theresa May's answer is not the answer. I don't think Jacob Rees-Mogg or Boris Johnson or any of the other leavers saying, leave now, get out now, I don't think they've got the answer either, because that question has to be asked first of Northern Ireland. They're not going to do that, but independent media are. Like I say, all I'm trying to do is trying to come to a conclusion based on what I know to be true. And I haven't got all the answers. I don't think anybody has. But at least I've got the balls to ask the question. And that's the situation at the moment. It all comes down to Ireland. It really does. And this is why Theresa May has done this. She doesn't want to break up the country. She doesn't want to break up the union. You speak to George Galloway about Northern Ireland. He will tell you there is no Northern Ireland. There are 6 counties in Northern Ireland, and that's it. I don't know the history of all of Northern Ireland, and I'm no expert on it, but I tend to defer to those who are. And I think it's fair to say that George Galloway is. It's the Irish situation that has got to be answered before we can have what the country democratically led to do. And we cannot have them. We cannot have the mainstream media and the ruling elite let this become another referendum, the same situation we were in 2 years ago. What happens if we vote to leave again then? What? You're going to have another referendum and another? The people saying that are correct. We voted to leave. It was said it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. You know what? I know English people who say, you know what, Scotland, you had your vote. What are you going to do? Have another referendum? And then the same people who are calling for a second referendum now with regards to Brexit. Come on. That's hypocritical. That's as I see it. Got to ask that question with Northern Ireland before we can actually even get to the stage where we've got a Brexit deal worth having and worth voting on. And maybe then give people a choice. I'd be for it then. I'd be for a second referendum then. Once we've actually got the outline of the deal. A deal that is acceptable. Not this piss poor deal that Theresa May has suggested. Which, like I say, I've said all along I've said she's kicking the can down the road, because as soon as she makes a decision, that's it, they're toast, they're done. She loses support from one side or the other. So we'll see. She's made the decision. She's lost the support. It looks like there's going to be a leadership contest. I'll try and keep everybody informed on it. It's been a long bloody day. But I think I've covered everything I wanted to do. Hi everyone, Lawrence, thanks very much mate. Buy Theresa May a puppy, then kick Theresa May and still the puppy, she says. Thank you Lawrence. Thank you, everybody. So, can I take my jacket off, guys? Let me just take my jacket off. It's quite hot in here. Was everything okay with the stream, by the way? That's the most important thing. Um, that is the most important thing. Was the stream okay and there was no buffering? Here you go, Ellie. Guard that for me, mate. Oh, what a day. I'm exhausted, guys. I'm so tired. I, it was about 2 o'clock last night, and I thought, I couldn't sleep, so I thought, I'll read this 585-page draft. Boy, did that work. That was better than an NyQuil. I got to about page 4. I was gone. And I woke up and I thought, I'm not reading that. Sorry, I'll just read somebody's cliff notes they're bound to have done. And somebody did on Twitter, which was really good of him. I know, Darren. That's something I should have put up. Darren O'Leary says, May wanted to have a 100-seat majority after the snap so she could betray Brexit without consequences and have Ruth Davidson succeed in her. So glad none of that happened. Now, I'm not sure about what you think the reasons for it is, but but that thing, I tweeted it out today, and you got to, somehow in the last 2 years, she's managed to needlessly throw away her majority, and single-handedly dismantle the Tories. Notice I said Tories when I said that and not Conservatives, because obviously she's protecting the Conservatives here. Remember, it's the Conservative, that's the Union part of the Conservative and Union Party. Remember that. She's protecting them. But this is a deal that nobody likes. I'm going to come over here now. More central. Oh, wow, there's a lot of people here. Hi, everyone. Trev Ken says 52/48 tells us clear story, dissatisfaction but a desire to stay close. Remain reform. You know what, Trev? We've had the vote. Let's at least get to the stage where we have got an option to leave. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. A good day's work, GD. Cheers. Thank you, Patrick. I really appreciate it. At least let's get to the stage where we've got a deal to actually vote on. Remember, my argument was it was a stupid referendum. You can't have an in-out referendum, my argument was, without defining what out is first, because otherwise you're opening yourself up into a world of shit and a load of referendums down the road, more referendums on what type of deal you want, more referendums, and obviously I said there might be several, and that's the problem with it. At least we voted leave, at least before you have a referendum. At least let's have a deal with the EU. But the only way to do that and have a deal and a proper Brexit is to actually address this Northern Ireland problem and the elephant in the room, and they don't want to. They're protecting their union. Oh, thank you. Stream is great. Oh, great. Visuals and audio good. I'm such a dope. I'm such a dope. When I did a test earlier, and I did it in video in private, and it had like 4 or 5 views, so somebody seen it and saw it. And when I watched it back, you can hear me going, "Oh God, is that all it is? I'm such an idiot. I'm such an idiot. Is that all it is? I moved some files and it's trying to find the files. Oh my God, I can't believe this." I was really slighting myself. Jacket over a sports top, tut tut, the Mycroft says. I'm poor, the Mycroft. If you want to dress me, buy me some clothes. Pam Ryan says, what if they hold a second referendum and Remain won by 52% to 48%? Well, then it's equal and we have penalty shootout. It's honestly, it would go on and on and on. We've got to at least, now we voted leave. We've got to at least have a deal worth voting on. Fine, give the people a vote then. But this deal, Theresa May is desperately trying to get us to, have this as the choice to vote on. This or Remain. Because obviously people are going to vote Remain then. This is an unbelievably terrible deal. It's the worst of the worst. At least let's give us a deal worth voting on. And if that comes in the form of a general election to actually find that out, so be it. I would like to say this, Jeremy Corbyn's played a blinder. He has played a blinder throughout all this. Keith Durant, I'm glad you're here, mate, because you made a great point a few months ago. Somebody in my chat said Jeremy Corbyn's got to come out in support for a second referendum, and he's got to do this, that, and the other. And Keith Durant replied to him and said, "You do not pull the lever on the trap door until the person that you're against has finished putting the rope round their neck." And he's just sat back and watched this happen. He knew it was going to happen. I did. If I, a dumbass, who with an internet connection and some critical thinking skills, can figure it out, I'm damn sure him and his advisors did. Sit back, let them implode, then pull the lever. Oh, thanks you, John Ordinary. You have done more work than the MSN put together. Heroic effort. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. I'm just trying to give people conclusions based on what I know to be true. That's all. I have my views, obviously, and I will express them. But I don't want, my views to be the whole point of my videos. It's happened in the past, and I do it every now and then. I said do then in a sentence. I'm such a child. I always laugh at that. But I'm just trying to give people the facts, because you know what? The mainstream media just aren't. They don't even want to talk about this. It's an elephant in the room. The establishment don't want it, so they're not gonna. You know what? Media, you're the friggin' watchdogs. You're the watchdogs of the establishment. Jimmy Dore nails it. They used to be the watchdogs of the establishment. Now they're not. Now they've become the guard dogs of the establishment. And when somebody like me or somebody in independent media comes out and tells the truth that's inconvenient to the establishment, then guess what? The media, they turn into the attack dogs of the establishment and they smear them. Look at all the people look at all the people that I have championed since I've been doing this in the last 9 months. Look at who they are. The independent people. Look at it. People like Peter Ford. People like Vanessa Beeley. People like George Galloway. People like Robert Fisk. He told the truth and he was instantly smeared. Anybody on the outside telling inconvenient truths, they're the ones who the establishment and the media smears. They become the attack dogs. He's so right. And I'm never going to apologise for bringing that up and bringing him up over and over again, even if it means I have to talk about him every video, because it's so right. He nails it. They're not the watchdogs anymore. They're the guard dogs. They turn into the attack dogs whenever, the establishment wants somebody attacked. Look at George Galloway. Look what happened to him. Remember. He's essentially ousted from the Labour Party because he was right about the Iraq War. Tony Blair's a war criminal in my eyes. He's a member of the Labour Party. The establishment do not like people telling the truth. Whether it's Conservatives, Labour or whatever, it's the establishment don't like it. Jesus Zamora says, did you hear the GOP block the vote to end support for Yemen war? I heard that Rand Paul was on the Senate floor giving his presentation. Doesn't surprise me that they blocked the vote. They cannot end that, man. They can't end the Yemen war because MBS is, he's getting too big for his boots, isn't he? He's got a lot of leverage over the United States. A lot of leverage. And that leverage comes in the form of something called black gold that the United States monetary system, the Federal Reserve, is based upon. That's why it's called the petrodollar. Again, petrodollar, that's nothing you will hear the mainstream media. Nothing. Nobody in the mainstream media are going to be telling you about that. The petrodollar. And how the dollar is attached to oil. And how Saudi Arabia, if they suddenly make it $400 dollars a barrel, you're going to screw them up. And that's what it is. It's leverage that Saudi Arabia have got. And this is why they won't even let that vote. If they've blocked that vote, Jesus. That's why. And there are other reasons too, but that's the main reason. It's okay, the Mycroft. I knew you were taking the piss, mate. I know. Steve Richter says TJDS Jamal Thomas hijacked by Mrs. JT. Gordon, keep me sane. Oh, that was such a great video, wasn't it? I actually left a comment on the video. I said to him, Jamal, you are batting way above your average, son. She's beautiful and lovely. Oh, lovely woman. The random gamer said, I'm a Tory supporter and I accepted many months ago Corbyn would get in within a year. Whew. Wow. You know what? I don't think you're on your own, the random gamers. I think you could be right. Let me just shut down this. Hopefully that'll make sure my CPU is oh, perfect. Wonderful. Oh, mate. Joe Hickey, when you were on the same side as Tony Blair, you've got to question your motives. That's true. He was on the other day begging, pleading with the BBC. BBC giving 20, 25 minutes of airtime to a war criminal on what he thinks about Brexit. What he thinks about... All he kept saying was second referendum, second referendum. When Tony Blair... Neoliberal warmonger Tony Blair is desperately trying to get people to have a second referendum and stop in the EU. Just have a think. What are his motives? What are his motives? Because if those are his motives, maybe I shouldn't be voting with him. I don't mind a second referendum, I don't. But we have to have some sort of deal that is acceptable to give Britain and the UK that choice. That has always been my argument. And I see no reason why I should change it. Good point, Joe. Excuse me. I was told I shouldn't swig next to the microphone. Oh, I'm exhausted. Rex the Younger says, Galloway took on the US Senate and wiped the floor with them. If you haven't seen that, by the way, and you know what, if you don't like Galloway, especially if you don't like Galloway, just type that into YouTube, George Galloway Senate speech, and watch it. He absolutely tore pieces off them. You could see them squirming in their chair. They did not like somebody going over and in their face telling them, here's what happened. It's your fault, not mine. Don't scapegoat me. And just dropping truth bombs all over the place. And you can see the passion and the anger in his eyes. It's just wonderful. And that guy, again, outsider. This is why they're on the outside. They tell the truth. People like George. Rex the Younger says Corbyn 4 PM would be a great Christmas present. I don't think it will be by Christmas. There won't be an election by Christmas. It's too close now. It'll play out. We'll see what happens with this vote of no confidence. If that happens, I would be amazed. Actually, oh no, I better not. I don't want to ruin the screen by taking up too many resources. The random gamers, go to bed, GD. You deserve a rest. I'm not going to go to bed, but I do deserve a rest, so I will be relaxing after I end this stream. That's for sure. Galloway was awesome, says Sean Calder. You're damn right. You really are. You know what? It just shows the. Tell you a little bit about my experience. I didn't until I started researching politics and researching George Galloway 2 years ago. I always thought he was a bit of a plonker. I always thought he was a bit of a prat. I'm thinking specifically they played over and over, didn't they? You know, would you like me to be the cat from Big Brother, trying to smear him and slander him and, you know, discredit him. And it worked on me. I didn't know where he stood up until, 2015, 2016. And that's when I started realising, hold on a minute, this guy's been treated fairly because I'm hearing him in his own voice now instead of all the rhetoric around him. And it's just indicative of just how good the smear jobs from the establishment on the outsiders work when all you've got is the BBC, the Guardian, the Independent for a frame of reference. Because that's the propaganda. They're an enemy of the state. They're a suppressive. What is it they call them in the Scientology? A CP or something like that. CP or OP, something like that. The Mycroft says, I believed the MSM about Galloway for years till I watched some of his debates and interviews. Exactly, Mycroft. This is why the propaganda works so well. That's why it does. It works so well. They are bloody experts at it. Experts. They've been doing it forever. Somebody actually left me a link. Somebody left me a link. I'm sorry, I've forgotten who it was now. A link to a Pathé News clip from like 1940 something or 1930 something. And the guy stood up and he went, "Sir, the members of the press have asked me to ignore they want to ignore that speech that I gave them. They want me to give them the speech that I gave them in the other room beforehand because apparently it's going to be make for better propaganda." That was like 1940 something from Pathé News. They've had 70 years to get good at this. That's why their attacks on people like George Galloway work so well. Leslie Ward, I want Galloway to come to Australia and give our government a right slap. They need it. They friggin' need it. Stand up for Julian Assange. Stand up for Australian-born Julian Assange, Australian government. Yeah, he is good on Sputnik. But you are correct. I'm just getting back down to the bottom now. Yeah, Sean Calder. Also, Galloway shared the stage with Farage on Grassroots, leaving EU, and actually got a standing ovation from essentially UKIP voters. UKIP voters aren't all racist. Don't let the media tell you that either. They are not. They're not. I know UKIP voters. They're not racist. Not all of them. Some of them just want, common sense to happen. And a lot of what I saw Farage being interviewed on the BBC today, and the guy and the journalist from the BBC, the journalist was saying, but Theresa May has been desperately trying for 2 years to get this deal. It's all so difficult and she can't do it. And George Galloway, Nigel Farage just sat there and went, no, she hasn't. She hasn't been desperately trying to get this deal at all. And they was like, why does it need Nigel Farage to say the truth on BBC, And there's the interviewer going, oh, clutching his pearls at what he says. John Ordinary, Abby Martin was always good on RT too. Abby Martin is good on everything. Go check out the Empire Files on YouTube, people. Support her if you can. She's a true journalist. Nikki, sorry I'm late, she says. I've been to the pub. Did you get arrested the other day, Nikki? Nikki was at the climate change, or she was going to the climate change protest the other day. I haven't had a chance to do a video on it, unfortunately, but I wanted to cover it because people at that climate change rally had superglued themselves to windows and gates and shit like that. It was fantastic. Somebody else, oh, what did she do? It was just great anyway. There's clips of it on YouTube. Go and watch it. Oh, I'm starting to crash now. All right, everybody, I'm down at the bottom. I just want to say a big thank you to all the support from everybody. I'm going to log off and I'm going to have a rest. I'll probably have a rest for half of tomorrow as well, and just try and. I've been going now for about 5 days non-stop, so I'll try. But obviously, I'll keep. If there's anything really important, if she quits or anything like that, I'll keep going. Rex the Younger says, you have trolls on your live stream, Gordon. I've officially made it. Oh, they've been there for a while, but there's going to be more and more. If the trolls are there, remember, guys, remember everyone, what don't we do? We don't feed the trolls. If a troll is a troll, you do not reply to them. Don't even bother. Don't worry, Nikki will get rid of them if she spots them. So, yeah. Only the trolls, though, especially the anti-Semitic ones. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Please remember, if I drop videos, like, share, especially share, even if, Facebook will start taking it down and saying it's spam. And comment as well, even if it's a comment just to say thanks or you suck or your teeth are crooked. Those comments really do help the stream. And it's helping the stream grow and the channel grow and obviously getting to the point now where I can almost support myself and not have to worry about where the next meal's coming from. I appreciate everybody's support. Thanks so much. General election now. I want Jeremy Corbyn in. I want him in as soon as possible. But I'll keep everybody informed, but it certainly seems like that is a major possibility over the next few months. Peace, everybody. Take care. Love you all, man.